hectares, okay? So moving up, we've added the Puinui area. You can see the word Puinui.
Down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up a little
Puinui
bit.
area, and that is overall about 700 hectares, but developable land is about 400 odd hectares, but that is for economic employment, for light industry, not for housing, okay? Then moving further up, we go to west. There's hardly any change. Rubber is proposed to be amended, reducing the area, Kumio Huapai, 32 hectares. So that's relatively minor. The major change for the north is Dairy Flat. That is an additional 1,071 hectares. So Dairy Flat is this funny.
Why would you reduce one?
Oh, I think, yeah, I could hear Councillor Webster, you're surprised at that. And do you just want to explain Kumihuapai? Did we pare back on what we'd originally proposed, or what is the reduction about?
Kumihuapai reducing by 32 hectares from what we originally proposed. And actually, it would be helpful if yes, I was just trying to find out where I got the explanation. I know this is a separate.
Yeah.
It's mainly to do with infrastructure, transport, water supply, wastewater, or combination thereof.
I think what we might do, Anne, because it's quite hard swapping backwards and forwards to maps and back, I'm going to suggest that we can't do it all now, but it would be quite useful for us, because this is a critical issue and there's quite a lot of interest in the detail, to remind ourselves of the detail again, is to have just some of those numbers alongside these different SHAs, rather than ask you to do that now. And that may offer an explanation to Councillor Webster's question. So I think if we can, just circulate that information in more detail, it would be helpful. And also, which we will pull together, the information, there's another, rather than read multiple close to 100 pieces of evidence for the rub line, there is what we call a Tier 2 joint statement of evidence, giving the overview, and that is one piece of evidence which is very helpful. And that would have all the information about those figures that I've just read out, but we will pull it all together. Okay.
Okay.
So we've just got a couple of questions now. I've got Councillor Lee and Mr. Thomas.
Just to come back to the rub, I take it in defending the rural-urban boundary, the council's position is to emphasise that this is quite different from that old MUL, and good luck. The development sector will not really be fooled by that, and I think that in terms of rural-urban boundary choices and planning, apart from the legal requirement under the Resource Management Act for sustainable management of natural and physical resources, I think we have to remind people a little bit more graphically what we're trying to do here. And this goes back to Professor Ken Cumberland and Mr. F.W.O. Jones in the Regional Planning Authority, which preceded the ARA. What we're trying to do here is make rational choices on infrastructure development, which nowadays we're talking about tens of billions of dollars. And I think the rationale for the RUB, rather than talking about compact city, which is almost a nice aesthetic word, we have to talk about the real cost of unregulated sprawl, which is not rational or logical in terms of infrastructure backup.
I think that's exactly what we're doing, Councillor, and we've stated that clearly from day one. Mr. Thomas.
On the summary of submitters' views page, you mentioned the request from submitters to double the original RUB provision by 12,000. Can you just talk at a general level where those requests were? I mean, I guess maybe they were everywhere, but if there was some interesting sort of
There were some
insights.
key ones, and it's actually in the next slide.
Oh, fine. Okay. I will wait for that. And then my other question then was just more on the limiting the live zones. So what, just I may have missed that, but again, why was the decision to limit the requests to have more live zones?
Because it is linked to what Councillor Lee just said, is we need to look to integrate the land use planning with infrastructure planning. And if everything was live zones now, you put the pressure on.
No, you obviously would do that, but obviously
Yeah.
with the number of SHAs that are coming on board,
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that a driver for looking at that? And I guess that's what you did, right? You looked at where the SHAs are and
Yes.
what the time frame
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So that those SHA areas, by and large, they would feature in the first decade
Yeah.
of the future urban land supply.
But still not a trigger for a significant increase in live zoning.
When you add them all up in the greenfield areas, it's not small, because the whole of the Hingai Peninsula, and I think they are now operative plan variations to that. The Wesley College one has been approved as a qualifying development, and up at Hobsonville, Scotts Point, so that they are coming on stream. So it's not the land supply, it's not the zoning policies that is holding back the land supply. Okay?
So that's the
Yeah.
first question.
Yeah,
We're always going to have this problem as long as there is disproportional growth in population in the Auckland area. No country in the world has this, but whatever you do with RUBs or MUL or whatever, you're still going to have this tension forever until we get a rational nationwide policy of population and development, which we don't have.
But that's not in the unitary
We're
plan,
the
and
nation.
that's what we're doing today. Councillor Walker.
No,
Yeah, just
yes,
picking
Prime
up,
Minister.
just picking up on the comments that Mike made, which in large part go to sustainability and obviously their national objectives in the RMA, and that goes to sustainability environmentally and also economically. Are you drawing a very close link between that and the RUB and also related issues such as climate change and especially sea level rise that's approaching worst case
Councillor,
scenario?
yes. I think we've
Okay.
used this
And the very
fully.
dynamic nature of this, of
Yep.
sustainability and especially sea level rise and related issues, because that circumstance is changing, and it's
Yep.
changing for the worse, unfortunately.
Yep, no, that's, I am very clear that we've heard that loud and clear. Councillor Webster.
Yes, thank you. Look, I don't want to hold up the meeting today, but I really would like you to talk me through the changes in Hatfields, Snells, particularly in Point Wells. So Snells, you're increasing the we actually downzoned Snells Beach and Rodney Days, actually when Reeve was with us, because we looked at what had happened at Wongaproa, and increasing development on a peninsula, we end up with the need for Penlink.
Yes, and
I'm just wary of, one road in, one road out scenarios.
Can we just, I think this is a good example of, I think that might be
And
a
I think that might be a
conversation to have
but also
together.
just a general point through the chair is there is it's a continuum between where the RUB discussion, the RUB case finishes and the rezoning case finishes, because especially in the rural settlements, there isn't a RUB case around all of them.
No,
So
I
some of those
understand
issues of growth, like Snells Beach, they may be in the OACT 1, the rezoning. And those will be the points about the one road in, one road out concerns, yeah.
Okay, but I think we want to stay kind of high
High,
level.
yes, that's why
What
I
is the
said I'd rather
discussion?
do it
Where
off-
is the, what is the thrust of the
Yeah.
of the future land strategy? We'll just do the last slide.
Just before we move on, Madam
Well,
Chair.
are you?
Yeah, just,
We just wait. Do you want us just to do the last one, Councillor
Okay,
Quiggs,
sure,
just
yeah.
on this, and then we'll go to you?
Yep. So this is to answer Mr. Thomas's question earlier, the main areas of differences, up in Okura, and the reasons why council does not support it, the environmental, particularly the discharge into the water, the coastal environment it's the only urban marine reserve. So that is very strong. And also the infrastructure constraints, and I'll come back to the infrastructure constraints because it almost runs throughout. Another major area, the Karaka area in the south. And effectively, one of the options that the submitters have provided for will put the rub right through from Drury, right across to, King's Head. So where would you stop? You know, do you go all the way to Awhitu? And is that whole issue of the future growth of all those rural settlements, what are their function, how do they link together? So that King's Head area, Karaka area is huge. King's Head, as I said earlier on, we proposed a rub round it because of a recent operative plan change, but the submitters, there are two major submitters who will triple the size of King's Head. And then, now, another difference is actually council does not want more, but the submitter wants more, and the reasons, and that's around Puinui. Those areas that the council case has excluded, they are elite soils around Pukaki Marae, cultural sites and areas of cultural significance, great cultural significance, outstanding natural features, and they all come together. So those are the key areas of differences.
I'm going to say something more about infrastructure.
Oh, right, yes. The argument from the submitters are, but we pay. It's all very well saying we pay for the reticulation, but very often these growth, significant additional growth, triggers infrastructure thresholds. And already we have significant amounts of unfunded infrastructure to meet what we are looking at. And so it is who pays for what infrastructure and when.
But we can't go into that now, and I think it's more that people are clear on where the differences are. So just going back to Councillor Quack's, your question was that, has this resolved what you were going to ask?
No, I just want to go back because I'm so back to this 12,100.
The diagram?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can go back to the diagram, Anne.
I think the diagram in this case might
So
actually
that
be
is the
confusing
total-
people, Anne.
That is the total area of the rub, including all three sections. So that adds, in effect, that adds another 121 square kilometres to the urban footprint of Auckland over the period of over the next
121 square kilometres.
121 square kilometres. No, it's not for a million people. So that's what it adds, right? Is that what? Okay. So that will be the extent of the urban area. Okay.
So if it helps people to get a sense of how big that is, when we did the future urban land supply strategy, we talked about that area being equivalent to just over it was almost 1.5 sizes of urban Hamilton. So that will give you a bit of a sense of how much land we're talking about.
But to be fair though, Penny, you've also got to take into consideration the number of people that are going to be required to be fitted over, to be accommodated within that whole area, which will be 700 square kilometres. And we're talking about over 2.5 million people.
Sure, I was just using Hamilton as for you to get your sense of the size of what 12,000 hectares represents, that's all.
But it's not helpful.
Okay.
Madam Chair, sorry.
Yes, quick one, and then we need
Just,
to
Madam
move
Chair,
on
if you don't mind, I just
to
want to
coastal.
finish the answer that Anne was giving on, and this is about understanding the decisions we've come to, right? So the issue is the cross hurdles you mentioned as being a constraint from council's point of view, if I understood. So could you just finish what you were saying?
And on that
Yeah,
threshold.
Yeah.
I think,
It's just-
I don't want us to go down this, we're starting to, and I do seem like I'm being very constraining, but I am getting quite clear advice. This is an update and a chance to get clear on where we've got to at the panel. We can't, and neither should we, go into some of our, what we might do, what we could do, and where we might go with this. So,
Madam Chair,
you know,
that's absolutely not my intention. It's
Okay.
absolutely just about getting clear,
Right.
about understanding kind of what she means by the threshold. That's all it is. It's not about a debate.
okay.